belly busters and muffin top demolishers. I could totally demolish a few muffins right now. I'm so hungry. Are you tired of your lower belly playing peekaboo with you every time you put on your favorite jeans? Well, fear not, because I have a few magic tricks to help flatten your tummy faster than you could say, Today, I'm unveiling the top secret, highly classified 5 best exercises to flatten your lower belly. And let me tell you, it's about to get real absurd up in here. Okay, let's move on. So grab your mat, grab your determination, bonus points if you can find it underneath the couch cushion, and let's flatten that belly like a pancake on Sunday morning. Because hey, who needs a 6-pack when you can have the whole bakery, am I right? All right, belly busters, hit that subscribe button and join me on this epic journey to a flatter tummy. Let's do this one ab movement at a time. Okay, let's talk about proper engagement of the lower abs first. So coming onto the mat, we're gonna start with a modified crisscross. So how we properly engage the lower abs, we're gonna suck belly button into spine as much as you can. This activates your pelvic floor. So for my mamas that are out there, this is very important for you. So really squeezing. It's not like, it's almost like you're holding your bladder, right? It's almost like, it's not even like a deep inhale. It's that exhale when you can bring your belly button into your spine. Really pushing your spine into your mat. See that when you push your spine into the mat, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I am like literally rocking back and forth, like engaging my abs, disengaging, engaging, disengaging. So every single time my pelvis tucks under, my tailbone lifts up off of the mat, and there is our proper engagement. So for these modified crisscrosses, we're gonna properly engage, and then we're gonna lift the legs up. Now, there, right there, is already, you're already feeling the abs just from lifting your legs. So for that modified crisscross, we're gonna drop one leg and lift it back up, just like that. So that is a really, really good lower ab movement. Maybe do that for a minute. Make sure that you exhale every single time you lift. Now, if you start to feel your hips, then I would go up to a 45-degree angle instead and back in. What I want to make sure is that you're not doing any of this, right? Because I have seen this before. We don't want this. How you find the perfect 90-degree angle with your legs is to take your hands on top of your knees, straighten out your arms as much as you can. There's your 90-degree position. This right here, you should already be engaging your abs. And then anything else you add into it, if you feel your hips at all, always come back to this stance, reset, and try again. If you are not feeling the modified crisscross, you can do a single leg tabletop drop. Looks very similar, but I'll explain the difference. So again, that 90-degree position, we're gonna drop one leg at a time, right? So instead of having both of the legs switching at the same time, all of a sudden, this is just one side of your abs that's working at a time. It is a little bit easier. If you're properly engaging, you'll be able to feel the difference. Next up is a lying leg raise. So for this one, we're gonna straighten the legs. Now, if you're not as flexible as me, that's completely normal. I did gymnastics and competitive cheerleading for 10 years, and I carry that flexibility with me, although I also continue to work on it. So we wanna make sure that the legs are straight if you can. A little bend is okay if you can. Knees pressed together, feet together. We're gonna drop again, engaging already, sucking belly button into spine, back into mat, tailbone slightly lifted off of the mat. We're gonna come down with control and lift back up. Now, if you feel your back lifting off of the mat right here at the bottom, like that, that's what we don't want, okay? We want to make sure that we are going only as low as what our lower abs can handle. So if that means that you're only going halfway, that's totally fine. Another modification that you can do, or another variation, I should say, because this isn't exactly a modification to a lying leg raise, but it's a step down, it's just a different variation of a different movement. So we're gonna go out, this is a leg out, and back in. So again, engaging those lower abs properly, back into the mat. We're gonna push out and in. Now, If you start to feel those hip flexors a little bit, you can angle it a little bit higher. I just don't want you to come past that 90-degree position once again. So keeping the knees out, just even if you go out to there and in, that's all that you need. When we're doing abs, you are essentially like competing with the older version of yourself. So we're trying to strengthen every single time that we go to do these movements. We're trying to get better and better and better. And if you cannot do the advanced version right off the bat, please don't feel bad. I have been doing Pilates for 10 years and I will still struggle with my hips during lower ab movements. And I will have to modify still to this day. It just depends on the day. So don't feel bad if you need to take modifications at any point in time. I would rather you get proper engagement of your abs than try to force a movement and you have sore hip flexors tomorrow and your abs didn't do any work. We don't need that. Okay, third movement is a stability ball knee tuck. So assistant, thanks. So we're gonna take the stability ball to the back of our mat. The setup can be a little tricky. So we're gonna go the top of the shin, the top of the shin. We're gonna go your shin on top of the ball, is what I should say. And then we're gonna come down into a plank and then other shin on top of the ball. We're gonna drive the knees into the chest and come back out. What I don't want to see is you hiking your booty up in the air way up here. You need to keep your booty low and let your abs do the work. If we drive the booty up, this is gonna cause our hip flexors to do the work, and we don't want that. So it's all lower abs right here. This is an advanced movement, so let me give you a little bit of a modification. Actually, I wanna give you a variation real quick to kind of work obliques and lower abs. We're gonna go here, so it's a little twist. This is called an oblique stability ball knee in or knee tuck. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. Make sure that also in this movement, you are taking your shoulders away from your ears and your wrists are stacked underneath your shoulders so that we are not going way back here. This is gonna make your work harder for you. So, and then also we don't want to hunch like this when we are working our abs at all. So anyway, a modification for that, because it is advanced, I'm gonna give this back to my assistant. Zoop, thanks. A modification is a plank knee in. So we're gonna go into that plank, same position, wrists under the shoulders, belly button into spine, just like we set up on the mat. We're gonna go in and in. So obviously we can't do a knee tuck and take both knees at a time, but we can go one at a time instead. This is still an intense movement. You are working one side of your abs at the same time, or I should say one side of your abs at a time. So you should be feeling right up through here, through your lower abs, through your obliques, from here down to here is what you should be feeling when that knee drives in. And then other side here to here is what you should be feeling. Okay, I had to include an animalia. Animalia is like my mortal enemy other than cardio. Cardio's number one, animalias are second, I think. So for this animalia, we're gonna let's just come into a plank first. Actually, no, let's come into all fours first. We're gonna dig the toes into the mat and we're gonna slightly lift those knees up by 2 inches. If we're way up here, we are no longer engaging the lower abs really, so we want to keep hovering just above the mat right there. So for the knee taps, we're literally just gonna drop to the mat, lift back up. Not to be confused with dropping down, disengaging the abs, just resting here and coming back up. It is the slightest little tap to that. Do you hear my voice shaking? It is the slightest little tap to that mat and lift back up. It's also not this. I used to see this a lot when I taught in person. It is also not this. It's also not this. Okay, I used to see, you'd be surprised. I've seen all of those variations, but the right one is right here. You might start to feel a little bit of quads, but mainly what I want you to focus on is really sucking your belly button into your spine, trying to engage those lower abs like I've talked about, but then contracting, exhaling every single time you lift is gonna be key on that movement. If you need a little bit of a modification, I personally find this movement easier compared to that last one, but some of my students would say otherwise. So it's really up to you whether this is harder or easier, but for me, it's easier. So we're gonna come into that animalia once again, 2 inches off the mat. We're gonna walk out, out, in, in. I think that this is easier just because that plank, it doesn't give you a rest necessarily, but it does kind of give your quads a rest. As to right here, like I feel like in Pilates, the smaller the movement and slower it is, the harder it is. So because we're doing that walkout into that plank, we can work other muscle groups that aren't just straight up lower abs and quads, but mainly lower abs. Keep that in mind as well. Last but not least, a good old-fashioned hip twist. So I wanted to include a little bit of obliques into this because yes, we have obliques that are coming down here. So it's gonna work muffin top area. It's also gonna work that mommy pooch, if some of you have that. The sides though, so we're gonna define this little line that goes here. We've been working on defining the abs separation right here on our abs. Now we're gonna work on the sides. So we're gonna come onto a forearm plank. So feet hip length, they're almost as wide as my mat for me. So we're gonna dip down one side, dip down the other side. This movement I see done wrong quite a lot. I see people up here and just doing little twists back and forth. Once again, hip flexors are doing a lot of work here. So we need to come down and suck in that belly button once again. No rounding in the shoulders, kind of tucking that tailbone under very slightly and then reaching the top of the thigh to the mat as low as you can go. And that is our hip twist. If you need a little bit of a modification, drop your knees and then bring your knees together as well and just go here instead. Again, chest lifted, no rounding in the upper back, and we are not up here. I see this constantly I used to see it constantly from my students when I taught in person. So make sure shoulders over the elbows, keep the abs tight and make them work. This doesn't look like much, but if you're doing it right, I promise you'll feel it. Okay, those are my top 5 best exercises to flatten your lower belly. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure that you subscribe to see more videos just like this one. And if you want a little workout, maybe do all 5 of those movements for 1 minute each, 1 round or 2 rounds if you're feeling brave. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah. Bye. Marker.
Accio brain. Where is it? Because it's gone. I can't find it. Moving on. Not me! Naughty Miney! Yo! Alright, belly busters, hit that subscribe button and join me on this epic journey. I can do this.